This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie Tee? Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 13 in the National Football League. Washington Redskins at the Arizona Cardinals. For the Redskins, it's simple. You control your own destiny if you just win. As a wise man once told me, just win, baby. Just win. And that's all the Redskins have to do if they want to get into the postseason. As for the Arizona Cardinals, not as simple for them, but they got to win. It's as simple as this. Win, and then you need help. But you can't get to the second part of that equation, getting help, unless you take care of your end of the bargain, which is winning. And it starts here with a team that they're going to have to leapfrog if they want to get in. And the best way to beat a team and get into the playoffs is to beat them head-to-head because, again, if it comes down to a tie, you win that head-to-head matchup, you get in over that other team. So this is a big game for both teams involved. Cardinals, a lot of work to do and a lot of help needed to get in. Redskins, just win. Simply take care of business. Toughest place to play, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL is in Arizona at the University of Phoenix Stadium. You go to the desert. It's tough to come out of there with a W, and we made mention of that numerous times throughout the week. David Johnson is a beast. We'll talk about all those things when we break this game down. First of all, though, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? No, seriously, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content 2016 and beyond. We over here changing the game. We want you to help us do that by hitting that red subscribe button on YouTube to the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter at In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. And I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All my social media platforms right in that box in the center, scrolling across the screen so you can't miss them. Go ahead and handle your business. So, with that being said, let's start with the victors in this football game, the Arizona Cardinals. I thought the opening drive of the game for them was magnificent. You're talking, what are we talking, 14 plays, 15 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes of the first quarter clock devoured by that Cardinals offense, and they get into the end zone. So you get the best of all worlds. Redskins' best facet of their team is the offense, where you just kept them off of the field for the entire or half of the first quarter and ate up a good chunk of the first half. So that's what you want to do. If you want to neutralize the Redskins, play ball control, keep it away from their offense, and they did that, and then they were able to go out and get a 3 and out. So the Cardinals got off to a really good start in this football game. Then it was kind of nip and tuck. Redskins missed an opportunity, as they've done numerous times, and especially in the losses, it's been highlighted a little bit more than in the wins. This failed to get into the end zone, had a golden opportunity to get into the end zone and didn't. And give some credit to that Cardinals defense for standing up tough, forcing the Redskins to kick field goals early in this ball game, as it was 7-6. Cardinals would then get a field goal before the half to make it 10-6. Almost a catastrophic play by the Redskins right before the half, as Maurice Harris, a rookie undrafted out of Cal, fumbles the football. I don't know what the hell he was trying to accomplish there. You're not going to run it back for a touchdown. Just get your ass on the ground and go to half. But instead, he tries to play hero ball, fumbles. Luckily enough for the Redskins, I don't know how the Cardinals don't recover that football, but they don't. So it's 10-6 at the halftime break. But the bigger issue here is that David Johnson was already starting to have a good game. 36 yards on the ground in the first half and another 52 through the air, and that's where he would do the bulk of his damage catching the football. We know this guy is a stud, and again, if this Cardinals team were better record-wise, he'd be one of the front runners for MVP because of what this guy is compiling stats-wise week in and week out. He is the best player on the field for both teams in the game. And again, he was that guy today as he lit the Redskins up. Some big plays, including the go-ahead score on the touchdown on the screen, a big 4th-and-1 run where he gashes the Redskins for about 15. He was huge for them, almost 200 all-purpose yards for David Johnson in this game. Carson Palmer was also pretty sharp in this game. For a guy that has struggled this season and an offense that hasn't been very good, He threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's the big number there. Normally you can get 1, maybe even 2 from Carson Palmer. Redskins defense just not up to the task of doing that, and we'll talk about that Redskins defense a little bit later on. But the Cardinals made the plays when they had to be made at the end, nursing a 1-point lead. They go for it on 4th down. Gutsy call, but I thought it was the right call. Your season is on the line. Your defense not good enough to stop the Redskins from getting into field goal range, as we saw at the end of this game. Don't punt the football to the Redskins in that situation, because if you do, you are going to lose this football game. So he goes for it from his own 34-yard line, and it pays off huge dividends. They would later on get, I thought, what was the call of the game was the holding call on Josh Norman. I thought it was a bad call. It was within 5 yards. It was both of those guys having hands on each other. I thought it was a great play by Josh Norman. And you see guys get away with that all the time. And I think the only reason the flag was thrown is because it was Larry Fitzgerald. If that was J.J. Nelson, if that was John Brown, if that was any other Cardinals receiver, that's not a flag. But because it's Larry Fitzgerald, it was a flag. And I thought that was the game changer right there. They don't call that flag. Cardinals are forced to punt the football. Redskins get it back. They're going to win this football game. But, hey, get a stop. Force a turnover. Do something to impact the game. You know how I feel. Do not put yourself in a position to allow the officials to impact the game. And by you not scoring touchdowns, by you not getting stops, by you not forcing turnovers, by you having 2 turnovers in this game, you allowed the officials' flag to impact the outcome of the game. So I don't feel sorry for you in this particular situation. So Cardinals did what they had to do down the stretch. Big drive at the end. Carson Palmer with a hell of a throw on a 2nd down right before the 2-minute warning. You'd love to see Quentin Dunbar get his hands. He's in great position. Dookie Anacho not in great position. And that was the one. Carson Palmer took a shot there, and I saw that same exact play picked off by the Rams earlier this season. Other teams with good safety play get there, make a play on the football. Redskins simply lacking at that position, and it showed again as he was late to the party. Again, Quentin Dunbar needs to find a way to knock that football away. You're right there. That football should not be completed, but it was. Hell of a throw, even better catch by J.J. Nelson to put the Cardinals up 8. And then the defense rose to the occasion at the end. Jamison Crowder's wide open, but Kirk Cousins flustered out of the pocket, throws it off of his back foot, not accurate. If he throws an accurate ball there, Crowder walks into the end zone, and then it's on to the 2-point conversion. But again, Redskins didn't make the plays. Cardinals did. Great catch on the interception by Pat P to put this one away as the Cardinals get it done 31-23. Now you go to the Redskins side of things. This was a very disappointing outcome for a team that frankly just had to win and control their own fate down the stretch. Or the outcome of the season, I should say. You can't control your own fate nor your destiny. That's something that is already pre-planned. But, so I hate when people say that. But Redskins could have controlled the outcome of their season had they just won. Now you have to rely on someone else to beat either the Falcons and or the Buccaneers for this Redskins team to then have to win and then to get in. So it's a tough situation the Redskins have put themselves in. But the rest of the schedule sets up favorable. But again, one at a time, got to win the one in front of you. I heard a lot of people talking about running the table. Oh, I think we can run the table. Yeah, if you win the first one first. You got to win 1 before you can win 5. I told you this was going to be the toughest of the 5 games remaining on the schedule. Hard to go win in Arizona, so I knew this was going to be a task, but I thought it was one that we would have been and should have been up to. But again, you can't count on this defense. We'll talk about them in a second. And the offense had some injuries up front that I thought hurt us protection-wise. Kirk fumbles the football, and that was a big play in the game. Redskins finally take the lead. You get a stop, and you have the football with a chance to really do some damage, and Kirk fumbles, and it turns into a Cardinals touchdown a couple plays later. So that was a momentous change in this game. The Redskins can sustain another drive. Even if it's just a field goal there, you're talking about a 16-10 lead. And now the pressure and the onus is on the Cardinals to drive the length of the field and get in the end zone. Instead, you shorten the field, you give it to them inside their own, inside the Redskins 20, and they deposit that into the end zone for a touchdown. So again, this was not a great game by the Redskins, and it was eerily similar to the Detroit Lions game. A little bit more points scored, obviously, but in a situation where you feel like you've played well enough to win, and you don't make the plays down the stretch to get the job done, and you lose the football game. And so this is a tough, bitter pill to swallow. But inside the game itself, how about Ryan Grant today? Had a really solid game catching the football, big catch at the end that was negated by a holding penalty on the Cardinals. So the Redskins took the penalty instead of the catch. But Grant with 2 catches on the day, thought he played well, showed out well in this game. Fat Rob continues to show why he is the lead dog. I thought 14 carries, 63 yards, doesn't scream great game. But if you watched him in this game, I thought he was phenomenal when he got space and when he didn't. This is the part of his game that I relish the most, is the fact that when nothing's there, he still manages to get 3 yards when he should be tackled for no gain, 1 yard loss, or only 1 on the play. He still finds a way to get 2 or 3. And that's huge because with Alfred Morris, with Matt Jones, you're looking at 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10. And with Fat Rob, you're looking at 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 8. And that's a huge difference to a play caller versus 2nd and 11. So this guy, to me, does a lot of things. His movement, his ability to make guys miss, his ability to stop on a dime and jump cut, his vision, all of these things change the game at the running back position for us. And that's going to be huge for us down the stretch, as we're going to have to be able to run it a little bit more effectively than we did in this game. I thought we actually ran the football well in this game. I didn't think we run it enough. That was our problem. I didn't think we ran the football enough in this game. But again, thought that the injuries up front to the offensive line hurt us. At one point, Vincent Painter had to come in at left tackle. Again, you know this dude? I don't know this dude. I know Vincent Painter from Tech. But I don't know this dude in the league, so I'm scared when at the premier position of your offensive line, you got a dude you ain't never seen before in a Redskins uniform on the field for you in that position. That's scary. And so even though it wasn't for a very long period of time, that was the same period of time when Kirk ended up getting sacked. And I don't think he had anything to do with it, but between him and then Spencer Long going out, which was to me the biggest blow, because a lot of the pressures that we saw Kirk face in this game came from the interior with Calais Campbell, who was just a man amongst boys in there, destroying Sean Laval every chance he got. So we were hurting up front, and I thought the Cardinals took advantage of it. And they're not the number 1 defense in the league for no reason. We went out and executed, did some good things, but they did some good things as well, and they blitzed the draws off of us. And give credit to them, they're not afraid. And that's the one thing that I credit them for. You live by the blitz, you die by the blitz, but I'd rather go out emptying the clip with all my guns ablazing. If I'm going to go down, and you saw what happened at the end of the game, they first forced Kirk into a bad decision, or not a bad decision, just a bad throw, an errant throw, and they were able to make the play there. And that's what blitzing can do for you. You can get beat. Like I said, if Kirk is accurate there, that's a touchdown. But look, I'd much rather go down knowing that I went down being aggressive than being scared and standing on my heels. And so from that standpoint, give the Cardinals credit down the stretch, but thought Kirk was solid in this game. He wasn't great. I thought he was a little nervous and scared earlier in the game with pressure. Then I thought he started to gain confidence. There's one play where he steps up, avoids Golden on a rush, and then makes an accurate throw down the field. So there were some opportunities for Kirk to hit some guys under duress, and I thought he panicked a little bit and didn't use the mobility that he's been blessed with at times. But the fumble, I would have loved to have seen Kirk speed up the process there. I just thought he was chilling back there like he had all day, like he had his original starting 5, like he knows he's going to be protected, man. You got a bunch of dudes you don't know. You got strangers in the lineup right now, man. You need to respect the fact that Spencer Long isn't at center. You need to respect the fact that Ty Nsekhe nor Trent Williams is at left tackle. That's Vincent Painter over there. You need to get rid of this damn football. He was just cold chilling. Even after he felt somebody bump him, he still was standing there, and he let Calais Campbell hit him and force the ball out. I need Kirk to be more aware there that it's not safe for you here, man. Get out of there. Go. Throw it or go. You can't just stand there. So that was a huge play in the game because, like I said, Redskins up 13-10. For the first time in the game, Redskins have the ball with the lead, and they give it right back and give the Cardinals 1st and 10 from about the 14-yard line. They would later turn that into a touchdown. So that's very disconcerting, but let's not put this all on the offense. How about the defense go out and get some stops? How about the defense go out and get a shutdown drive? I call it a shutdown drive, just like in baseball. It's called a shutdown inning. After you score runs, you want your pitcher to go out there and not allow the other team to score runs. It's called a shutdown inning. Go out there and get a shutdown inning. How about the defense go out and get a shutdown drive? We go and take the lead 13-10. They get a shutdown drive. We give it back. Okay, fine. We give it back. They go and get a touchdown at 17-13. The offense goes right back down the field, gets a touchdown, makes it 20-17. Go get another shutdown drive. They don't. They give up a touchdown. And the part that really sickens me with this defense is that when teams get in the red zone, they're getting in the end zone. Everyone else seems to be able to force us to kick field goals, but when we get a team down there and they are moving it down the field and they get into the red zone, there is no resistance from this Redskins defense. Everyone seems to get in. The only time the Cardinals kicked a field goal in this game was right before the half. If the half didn't stop them, they would have gotten in the end zone and probably scored a touchdown on that drive as well. And they got in the red zone 4 times in this game, or 3 times in this game. They scored a touchdown 3 times in the red zone in this game. So really frustrated that the Redskins continue to struggle with red zone defense. Everyone talks red zone offense all the time. Redskins struggle with red zone defense. And if the Redskins don't make the playoffs, it's going to be because of this defense. They will be the undoing of this football team because the Redskins just aren't good enough in certain areas of this defense. It's tough. The call on Josh Norman late, I thought that was a really questionable call. I don't think it was a terrible call. You could obviously see Josh Norman was holding, but I didn't think that was the right time. Again, I don't think that was a penalty. Honestly, guys get away with that all the time. Larry Fitzgerald had his hands on Josh Norman as well. He was trying to push off. So you just let those guys play in that moment. Again, it's mano y mano there. And again, like I said, if that's not Larry Fitzgerald, I don't think it's called. But again, don't put the game in the officials' hands late and give them a chance to affect the outcome. And so you still had a chance to get a stop after that. It's not like that was the end of the game and they were able to take knees after that. You still got an opportunity, second down, right before the 2. If they don't catch that, if Q-Bar is able to knock that football away before the 2-minute warning, you're talking about 3rd and 10. Redskins got 2 timeouts with 1:56 left. You're in a great position to try to get off the field on 3rd down, which I don't know if we would have been able to do, but at least you would have had an opportunity to make the play. And right now, that's where we're hurting. We don't make plays defensively. Cardinals made 2 plays in this game, forced 2 turnovers. Redskins, I think after this game, are now either even or negative in the turnover differential. We don't create turnovers. We don't make plays as a defense. And that's what's so frustrating because if you're not going to be good, if you're not going to get stops, if you're not going to stop the other team from scoring in the red zone and force them to kick field goals, then you need to do something as a defense to impact the game. And they don't do that. They don't create turnovers. They don't create short fields by getting 3 and outs. How many times did the Cardinals have the football pinned up and get at least 1 first down to at least give the punter a little bit of space to breathe to kick the football? This defense doesn't create short fields for the offense. So as usual, Redskins offense having to go 75 yards, having to go 81 yards, having to go 60 yards. There was one possession where the Cardinals punter kicked the football poorly. Redskins got great field position, and what do we do with it? Field goal. So it's frustrating when you finally do get some great field position. Defense actually does get a stop and force them to kick deep in their own territory. You're not able to capitalize off of it. And that's what the good teams in this league do. They capitalize off of opportunities. Redskins didn't do that in this game, and they find themselves on the short end of the stick. 31-23, Cardinals get the victory, go to 5-6-1 on the season. Meanwhile, the Washington Redskins drop to 6-5-1. Again, with the Buccaneers winning in San Diego, they're now in the playoffs. The Redskins are now on the outside looking in. So instead of being in the playoffs, they're now in the hunt. And it's a bad place to be this time of the season. A lot of football left to be played. Redskins have a schedule that I think they can handle. But again, if they're not able to win on the road because they've got 2 tough road games left, they're not able to win on the road down the stretch, they're going to find themselves on the outside looking in. And it's a shame when you lose to teams that aren't going to go to the playoffs. I think this Cardinals team probably will be the best team not to make the playoffs this season. That would include the Redskins if they don't make it. But you as a team looking to get in, you need to beat these teams that won't be there and come January. And I know it's a tough place to play in Arizona, but like I've said before, if you want to be recognized as one of the better teams in the league and you want to start actually having the confidence that you can go and win anywhere, you got to start beating good teams. It's one thing to beat the Vikings at home. It's one thing to beat a struggling Packers team at home. It's one thing to go and beat the Giants in New York. It's another thing to go on the road and beat a tough number 1 ranked defense Arizona Cardinals team in Arizona, and still we're not there yet. And a lot of that stems from the lack of defensive playmaking ability for this Redskins defense. So let's get to some of your comments on this in this game. Melvin Gloson says, what positives can we take from this one going forward? Basically that we still got a lot of football left to play, and that I think the schedule sets up favorable for the Redskins moving forward. Still some tough games down the road. Obviously, nothing's easy for this team because we're not good enough to make anything easy, but none of the teams left on the schedule should scare the Redskins. This, to me, I told you on Tuesday that I thought this was the toughest game remaining on the schedule, even though it was against a team with a losing record and they're probably not going to be in the postseason. This was the toughest one. They had a guy in David Johnson who is an absolute animal, and you saw it again today. They have a defense that is one of the best, if not the best in the league. I don't think they're the best in the league. I think that number one ranking is false because it's going off of yardage, which is cool. They play in a bad division with bad teams who don't put up a lot of yards, and they've been able to take advantage of some of those opportunities, but I take nothing away from them. Redskins did enough to win this game from the offensive side of things. They needed more stops defensively, and they needed to not turn it over, and they did. They turned it over twice. But getting back to the original point, this was the toughest game left on the schedule. But, again, nothing is easy for this Redskins team. We're not good enough to overlook a bad Panthers team. They're still good enough to beat the Redskins on a primetime matchup on a Monday night. We're not good enough to overlook an Eagles team who still have one of the better home records in football, even though they're struggling right now. We're not good enough to overlook the Giants' final week of the season at home, even though we've already beaten them once this season. They may be fighting for their playoff lives come that game. So we're not good enough to overlook a Bears team that scored 26 and shut down the 49ers today and won 26-6. We're not good enough to overlook anybody, but every single one of those games I just mentioned, outside of the Giants game, are all teams with losing records that we should be able to beat. Home, away, it doesn't matter. You want to make the playoffs, you got to beat those teams and get in. So that's the positive. We played up against a good Arizona Cardinals football team that's better than their record indicates, and we should have beat them. Had a shot. Couldn't make the plays, and they did. So that's the positive from this game. Enrique Valencia says, that fade to Jackson on 3rd and goal versus Pat P is probably one of the dumbest play calls this year. I agree. I hated that call. I would have loved a slant there, but they even had Jefferson dropping underneath the slant, so that wouldn't have been there either. But of all the guys you can go after, you're going to go after Pat P. And the fade hasn't worked once for us this season. And you're going to throw. So the two things that don't make any sense, you're going to do it on the same play. Throw a fade, which we're like 0 of 12 on the season doing. And then against one of the best corners, who I think is the best corner in the entire league, you're going to throw it against him. Good luck with that. Like that goes to show you how bad we are in the red zone right now. Those are the types of plays that we're making, or that's the lack of execution in the red zone that's killing this football team right now as we sit here at 6-5-1. Sue Ellen says, chances of Redskins making the playoffs, still high. I still think the Redskins get in as a 6th seed. This loss right here, I think, stops the Redskins from climbing as high as the 5th seed, which I thought if they could have won this game was going to be a very real possibility because I don't think the Giants are very good. And you saw the Steelers handle them easily today, and I told you that was going to happen. I don't think the Giants are very good. I just don't. Their schedule has been extremely soft. On that 6-game winning streak, they haven't beat anybody of note. And so it's one thing for a team to be 8-3 and win 6 in a row. And look, you got to win the games. You can only beat who they put in front of you. But when the competition level steps up, you're going to find out. And the same thing can be said about this Redskins team. You know, that's why the Vikings win was huge and the Packers win was huge. But those are at home. You don't play every game at home. You got to find a way to go on the road against tough, good football teams and win. And that's why this was a measuring stick game for me. And this is disappointing that Redskins weren't able to go and win this game on the road because same thing with the Dallas game. That's a good team on the road. You got to find a way to win if you want to elevate yourself in the pantheon of teams in this league. You got to win on the road against good teams. And we're 0 for 2 in the last 2 attempts. And that's frustrating. Mondraw says, I may go under the Mendoza line. Doesn't matter. I'm still drinking that Redskins juice. You're all good, man. I really think that this is a team that will turn things around. They have, like I said, the schedule sets up favorably for the Redskins. But again, they got to take care of business. No one is going to help them. They got to help themselves. You win football games. And I've told the Redskins fan base this from day one. We take care of our business. We don't worry about anybody else. We will get in. 10-5-1 is good enough to get in the playoffs in the NFC. You know why? Because everyone else who's vying for a spot, if they go 10-6, we have the upper hand with the tie. We'll have a better record than them. So again, just take care of business. If we win out 10-5-1 will be good enough. 9-6-1 might be good enough, but the way the Buccaneers are playing, I would not feel comfortable trying to backdoor the playoffs at 9-6-1. Those boys are hot. And, every year there's one of these teams. Redskins were that team last year as a 6 seed. Hot going into the playoffs, winners of 5 straight. The Buccaneers could be that team right now. They're hot. They went into San Diego. I did not think they were going to do it. I did not believe they were consistent enough to do it, and they did it. That's a dangerous team right now. So, Redskins playing with fire now. Playing with fire. You better watch out or your ass will get burned. We'll see what happens. Arizona Animal says, hail to the reservation, LOL. Sean Hawk Talks NFL says, we're not just good enough. We don't have the right to be in the playoffs. I don't think that's true, but I tell you this much. The way we play defense will not allow us to advance very far in the playoffs if we do make it. You're not telling me that the Redskins aren't one of the best 6 teams in the NFC conference. I'm just not buying that right now. I think the Redskins are better than the Giants. We may not be better than the Buccaneers. They're playing some outstanding football. And the thing that I said you got to do, you got to find a way to beat teams on the road. They're doing that. They went to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. They went to San Diego and just beat the Chargers. They're going on the road and winning tough games. They beat Seattle at home. They're beating good teams in this league, upper echelon teams in this league. So they have the right to be in right now. But the Giants, I'm not buying what they're selling. And so you're not telling me the Redskins aren't one of the best 6 teams in the NFC conference. I'm not buying it. I'm not signing up for it. So I think the Redskins will find a way to get in. But again, with the way we play defense, we can't go but so far. We may not get out of the first round like we did last year. We may get beat in the first round. You may make it out of the first round. You won't get past the Cowboys or whomever is waiting on you in the second round. I'll be that Tampa Bay or Atlanta or whomever, Seattle, whomever that is. You won't get by that team because we're not good enough defensively. You're going to pay for your defensive woes at some point. And we may not get to the playoffs because of our defense. We'll see how much that affects us moving forward. SoFlo Sports says, ugh, I bet on your Redskins and I thought I had it locked up, but then that touchdown late must taste bitter. It's a pretty bitter defeat indeed. But again, the beauty of it all is that the Redskins still are in an advantageous position to make the postseason. Just got to win. And like I said, this was the toughest game left on the schedule. But again, when you're the Redskins and you haven't proven to be a consistent football team yourself, nothing is taken for granted and nothing should be taken for granted. So you look at these Final Four games and you shouldn't look at any of these teams and say, oh, well, we're going to beat them. That's a win. We're not good enough to do that. We're not good enough to write W's in permanent marker on the schedule before the game has been played. We're not good enough to do that. So all of these games are tough in my mind, and the Redskins have to win, in my mind, all of them to get in to the postseason. Cruising 26 says, it was a good day, Cowboys fans. Eagles, Giants lost as well, shaking my head. Well, the Cowboys clinched the playoff spot with the Redskins loss, so they're in the playoffs now. And they're going to clinch the division probably with a win over the Giants next week when that game takes place. I don't think the Giants are good enough to beat the Cowboys. I'd love to see the Giants beat the Cowboys next week just to make the Cowboys have to play for something down the stretch because that Buccaneers game in a couple of weeks may not mean much to the Cowboys. I need Seattle to definitely win just to make sure that they're still at least playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC because if they lose tonight to Carolina, all of a sudden now Dallas is looking at their schedule saying, what the hell do we have to play for in 2 weeks versus the Buccaneers? And now all of a sudden the Bucs are looking like they got a clear path. They still got a lot of division games, but they got a clear path to winning out and really making life hell for the Redskins to get in. So, it was a big day for the Cowboys as they were able to sit back and watch every single team in the division taste defeat today. BE says, I told you the Cardinals were going to win. We're not dead yet to play. I've already explained this to you. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but no one ever wants to admit when it's over. So I'll just say that. David Johnson should be in the MVP conversation, says Arizona Animal. And he should be. It's a shame that the record doesn't match the production because if you could just take that element out of the discussion record, this guy is a front runner to me for the MVP trophy. But because the Cardinals aren't going to make the playoffs, because the Cardinals are 5-6-1 right now, he's being overlooked by all these quarterbacks. And it's not fair, to be honest with you, because this guy, the Cardinals aren't 5-6-1 without him. They're more like 2-9-1 without him. I mean, that's how much of a difference maker David Johnson is. Hell, this game right here, prime example, without him, they don't win this game. So he should be in play for the MVP. It's a shame. Arizona Animal says, no guts, no glory. Good call by BA. No doubt. Like I said, if he doesn't go for it there on 4th down, they punt, they lose this football game. No doubt in my mind. Chris Deaver says, sorry I missed the game. Was watching the New York game. Dallas got a playoff spot, I heard. Indeed, they did with the loss by the Redskins. Arizona Animal says, that was P.I. on Norman. You don't put your hands on the guy number 11. That was not pass interference. They actually called holding, and I actually thought that was a marginal call at best. Like I said, I can see how they threw the flag. I didn't agree with it, but Redskins still had opportunities to make stops after that. So I'm not putting that on the officials. Redskins didn't make enough plays. Cardinals did. BE says Larry moved into third all-time in catches and 10th in receiving yards and youngest player in NFL history with that, what he did in this game. That guy's phenomenal. He's ageless. He's timeless. He's so good. There was one catch when he gets a first down on a third down where I'm like, no, he didn't get it. He didn't get it. And they show it, and he stretches the ball out just barely, gets the first down. He's so savvy. He's so clutch. He's so legendary. And I love that guy. Love Larry Fitzgerald. Love watching him play the game of football. Love his passion for the game as well. And Walter O'Neill says the NFC East will be clinched next week. Maybe, maybe next year. Next week. I think it will be. After the Cowboys beat the Giants on Sunday Night Football, I think that division is locked up. Sewn up like a tailor. Relatively easy like Jerry Heller. Drop is cherry vanilla. Let's see what else we have before we move on. See if we got any more comments. Mondraw says, what do you think the Redskins will do with Nsekhe when Williams comes back? Moving the guard, that guy deserves a starting spot. No, they're not going to move Nsekhe to guard. The only way he stays on the field is if Trent Williams moves into left guard. If not, Nsekhe's going back to the bench and Trent's going back to left tackle. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We still got a whole nother game before Trent is eligible to come back. RG3 hashtag smoking that 3 hashtag 1000 says, I see the Redskins getting a safety in the first round. I don't know what the Redskins are going to do in the first round of the draft. I don't want to talk draft right now. It's still NFL season, but the defense will be addressed. I can assure you of that in the first round. I just don't know with what or whom. BE says Calais was a monster. He wrecked our offensive line. He was the guy that changed the game. Whether it was a batted ball that he didn't know where it was, he could have picked it off and hit him right in his arm, or he's sacking the quarterback, stripping him of the ball, or busting him over the head late in the game with a vicious shot that gave the Redskins a personal foul on the first down. He was an animal. He could not be stopped. And he looks every bit the part of the 6'8", 320-pound frame that he has. This he's a freak. And if the Cardinals don't want him back, we would sure welcome him in Washington. That is for sure. Brian Moss says, do you think the NFC East will have 3 teams make the playoffs? I don't think so. I honestly don't think the Giants belong. And we'll see what happens with the Giants. Their schedule is about to get really tough. Started with that Steelers game. They got some tough road games. They got Dallas coming up at home, which could easily turn into a loss. They got the Lions on the road, if I'm not mistaken. That could easily be a loss. And then they got the Redskins on the road again. That could easily be a loss. So we're talking about a Giants team that has some really tough games down the stretch. A lot of road games. We're going to see what they do. But they're already at 8 wins, which gives them an advantage to try to get in. But it would not shock me if those boys had a late season collapse and didn't make it into the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Sergio Pinto Tapia says, bad calls in the red zone. Stop throwing the fade. I agree. The fade should be dead for the remainder of this season. As bad as that sounds, unless it's a back shoulder fade to Jordan Reed in the end zone, I don't want to see another fade from this Redskins team in the red zone. It's not a good play for us right now. Last year it was. This year it's not. And it goes like that sometimes, man. Sometimes it bees like that. Stop throwing the fade. It's okay. Even if you like the look, don't throw the fade. Just don't. Kirk's not throwing it well. Like that one that Deshaun didn't even have a shot. There's just stuff. Why would you throw it against Patrick Peterson of all guys? How about you try Cooper on the other side of the field who's getting ate up by Pierre all game long? How about you do that? But don't go to Pat P. Come on, man. Have some sense. You need to wash your face if you think that's a good idea. What's wrong with you? With that being said, Sergio Pinto Tapia says, run the ball more in the red zone. Easier said than done. I don't think we run it well in the red zone. We just don't, And maybe some of it is the play calling. Us running the little duo inside pound draw that we love running. That's not a good play in the red zone. I thought we countered them to death. I would have loved to have seen a counter maybe in the red zone, but bottom line is we only got into the red zone once and didn't score in this game. It's not like we got in there 3 times like we did against the Cowboys and struggled. It's just one time we got in there. Problem is, we didn't make enough plays in this game, and that was the bottom line in this loss. Cardinals made 2 big plays in this game. Redskins made 0. And we almost had another boo-boo with the fumble right before the half. Again, I don't know what the hell Maurice Harris is thinking there, but in any event, Redskins lose 31-23. Keep the Arizona Cardinals alive. Even if it's a faint pulse, they're still alive. But like I said, someone's going to pull the breathing tube out of their nose soon, and they'll flatline here shortly. Meanwhile, the Redskins still have a great opportunity with the final schedule. They got to win, and I think they got to win out. To be honest with you, 9-6-1 might be enough to get you in, but who's looking for mediocrity here? Let's get to double digits. Let's really put ourselves in a really good spot to get that 6th and final playoff berth in the NFC conference, if that's in fact what it will take to get in at the end of the day. So that being said, it's going to do it for us in this program. Lockdown coverage. Cardinals get the win 31-23. Keep their season alive. Redskins no longer in the playoff picture as it stands. They're now in the hunt after their 31-23 defeat at the hands of the Cardinals at 6-5-1 with the Buccaneers win and the Redskins loss. Buccaneers are now in the playoffs. Redskins are now on the outside looking in. And with the loss, also the Dallas Cowboys now clinch a playoff berth in the 2016 NFL playoffs. So that's going to do it for me here. Remember, if it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on Lockdown Coverage on the Louie Tee Network. You know I got you covered like a blanket. Come on, man. You know how I do it. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. We will talk more in depth about this outcome and next week's game, of course, on Tuesday, 8 o'clock, Redskins Report live. Until then, I will see you tonight for the conclusion of Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football overtime. Panthers on the road taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Till then, enjoy the game. I will see you later on.